Can you all see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So before I start talking about myself and the brand, I wanted to just show you this video. It's a very short reel.
Those stories of being bullied, being harassed, feeling inadequate, and then turning to fashion to actually create a living memorial on our body, an altar for our beauty, our legacy, and our energy. And that energy is what people want when they wear something. What frustrates me is how we're literally a solution that will make people more money, that will actually be relevant to your customers and your demographics.
She adjusted with her sister, she adjusted with her husband.
And people
She can't take it anymore.
So Funky Maharani started off in October 2020. Even though the brand was ideated about much before the pandemic, around 2 months before the pandemic. Then the pandemic happened, and so much of the work to get the brand off the ground happened during the pandemic. And when we launched in October 2020, it was just 6 months into the pandemic, so it was quite a difficult time to launch, but we decided to go ahead with it anyway. And the concept of the brand has always been about being rooted in tradition, but at the same time very contemporary and elegant and fun and quirky. We wanted to kind of create traditional Indian jewelry that was out of the box and just out of the ordinary. And this really started from the question, why don't we see Mangtikas more often? So my co-founder, Steven, he was watching a Bollywood movie and he realized how we only see Mangtikas in Bollywood movies or weddings and never otherwise. But they're this really stunning and beautiful piece of jewelry within our culture and heritage, and deserve more limelight and attention. And this question kind of led us to a larger journey. And we were his immediate thought was why isn't there a skull as a Mangtika, and how cool would that be? And from there, we ideated so many different motifs and designs, and came up with the brand Funky Maharani. And though that was our starting point, the Mangtika, we expanded to create other kind of Indian jewelry as well, like jhumkas and piles, and again constantly just reimagining and redefining these traditional silhouettes into more contemporary and unique pieces. It was very important for us to be multi-purpose. We want to bring out this piece of jewelry that is typically worn in weddings, and make it a piece of jewelry that can be worn anywhere and with anything. So wearing a Mangtika with a dress that you might wear out to a club or to brunch. And it was important for us that these pieces are also very comfortable, because typically Mangtikas are very heavy, and we wanted it to not be that way. A lot of the pieces are priced, we have a wide range, because we wanted to be able to cater to various groups of people, but at the same time have a premium offering, an exclusive offering. So the price range is from 800 rupees to 3,000 rupees. And the pieces that have genuine Swarovski crystals or semi-precious stones are on the more expensive, higher side. Like I said, this is our vision. and we started off like completely just wanting to, bring the Mangtika to the world and like redefining the Mangtika. But as we've evolved, it's been a year and a half. I'd say our vision is broader than that now. It's about traditional Indian jewelry silhouettes and reimagining that. Also, if anyone has anything to say at any point in between or has questions, I don't mind being interrupted, because it's weird to like constantly talk to a screen. Feels like I'm talking to myself. So I don't mind being interrupted and stopped if you want to say something in between. Obviously, there's space for questions and discussion at the end. But if you feel like saying anything at any point, just unmute yourself and we can have a discussion. Yeah. So Stephen and I don't actually have a background in fashion per se. Stephen spent 22 years in banking, and I have a background in photography and design. Like, we have come into this like without any like preconceptions of the fashion industry, which I think works to our advantage most times, because we are able to see things from a different perspective. So yeah, that's kind of, I think, a unique thing about us as the founders as well. And like I was saying, we have mangtikas, piles, jhumkas, and before we started the brand, when we were doing like market research, we also realized and noticed that a lot of people tend to wear jhumkas and piles already. Like I also did all the time, wear jhumkas with non-Indian clothing, but it's very rare to see somebody wear a mangtika with non-Indian clothing. And yeah, then the brand launched, and we it was important for us to have all these designs also like motif based, so they're universal in understanding. So things like a bird, a butterfly, a nazar, and then we expanded to earrings. These are some of the other products. The one on the left is a star, then that's the nazar jhumka, and then that's the peacock feather mangtika and the dragonfly mangtika, and those are the ones with stones. So these are the ones on the more expensive side. We also really wanted like the products to have this universal language, thus using motifs, because we kind of imagined the piece to be able to resonate and be worn by people who aren't just Indian, people of any nationality, and any gender, like I said earlier. I think a big part of fashion is self-expression, and that kind of echoes what Alok, the person in the beginning of the video, was saying, is that when you remove the barrier of gender, when you say something is just for men or just for women, you're actually confining yourself in a box a lot, and actually like stopping yourself from reaching more people, making more sales, making more money. When you remove those barriers and just see fashion as a means for self-expression, which means that anyone can wear whatever they want, and not feel so confined within these boxes that we have made as a society. It kind of liberates everyone. So yeah, our pieces very much echo with that sentiment. That's the moon light mangtika, and then the skull and rainbow mangtika, and our love jhumka and love mangtika. So some of the unique things about our product aside from the designs and like there being no mantikas like this in the market, is that they're all ethically handcrafted from 80% recycled brass and 20% new metal, and everything is made in small batches. So a lot of our pieces are, very exclusive. Um, and like I was saying, they're also adorned with Swarovski crystals and semi-precious stones, and hand-painted enamel. They're all extremely lightweight, and yeah, you can wear them again and again. I don't know if I'm visible, but yeah, it's like extremely detailed, handmade pieces.
What metal are you using for the mantika?
It's 80% recycled brass and 20% new metal. So for the 20%, it would be, for the gold, it would be 24 karat gold, and for the silver, it's white rhodium. When we were identifying our brand strategy and brand positioning, for us, like these are the personas, these are the personalities of the people we see as our TG. People who are experimental, people who like being quirky with their fashion, who are out of the box. Over time and since launching, because it was such a new market and the product, it's also been a learning curve for us. And we have understood and realized, though predominantly these are the types of people that are interested in the product and purchase the product, there is potential to also reach people who might not necessarily identify with the word experimental or quirky or creative, because there is such a wide range of motifs. So we have one of our motifs is an angel wings, and it's very small, it's very dainty, doesn't have a lot of color, it's just metal, and it's small. So somebody who, because a lot of people think that this jewelry is really bold, which it is, which is why we thought it would resonate more with people who like things like that. But because we have such a wide range in the collection, we've noticed, sometimes people who might not typically identify with these words will still resonate with a piece from the collection. So that's been interesting and good for us, and is also why we've been able to kind of go from being niche to being on Nika. So predominantly our sales channel is our own website, but we are also available on Nika Fashion, Myntra, and LBB, and soon to be coming on an app by Alaya by Stage 3, which is quite a big brand. Maybe some of you have heard of it. Yeah, I think being on these sales channels has been good for us because we are able to, further understand the market and also further understand the audience that is resonating with the products. And of course, platforms like Nika, Myntra, LBB have so much resource, and we are such a small startup. So to be able to tap into their resource, it's a big thing for us, and has made, a big difference to the brand's growth. Yeah.
So, do you have a physical store?
No, we're just an online e-commerce brand. Yeah. And these are some of the press reviews we've had in the last year and a half, from Brides Today, Al India. Push Wedding is a wedding magazine based in the UK, in case you didn't know or haven't heard of them before. And then in April 2021, just 6 months into launching the brand, we were featured in Al India's like physical magazine, April, yeah, 2021. So that was quite a big, I guess, milestone for us as, you know, a startup. So yeah. And also recently we won an award in the disruption category, um, by She the People. Again, I'm assuming many of you might have heard of them. Um, so this again was like a big milestone for us because, you know, we've really not been around that long. So having achieved these press reviews and these milestones, have been, yeah, just something we're very like proud of and grateful for. And in the last 1.5 years, we've fortunately also been able to, you know, get our products onto people that are quite well known and famous. Maitri Ramakrishnan, who I'm guessing some of you might have heard of or even seen in the Netflix show Never Have I Ever, has worn our earrings at an event hosted by Michelle Obama on YouTube. And Mandana Karimi, she's, I believe, like an actress here. You know, she's worn our Dragonfly Mountica for a photo shoot. And Maitri has also, you know, worn the earrings and shared a picture of it on her own personal Instagram, which was like, you know, quite a big thing for us again as a small startup to kind of see that coverage from such a big celebrity. And the same with Alok. They both have worn our earrings, you know, multiple times. Um, and, you know, we've just gifted it to them. So there's no um, collaboration as such, whether monetary or not. It's just a gift that we've, you know, gifted to them. So the fact that they've worn it multiple times and, you know, shared it just because they liked it so much is again something that, yeah, we're very grateful for as a small brand. Then a local actress also, Urfi Javed, has also worn our rainbow Mountika, as well as our peacock feather Mountika. Yeah, so to go back to what I started with, um, Business of Fashion, a Voices conference happened in December, and Alok Ved Menon, who is a activist, performer, artist, you know, carries a lot of uh, titles to their name. Um, their pronouns are they, them. So that is why I keep referring to them as that they. Uh, they wore our Paisley Jumka at the conference dinner and then our Nazir Jumka at their panel. And that was a very um, like amazing thing to witness for us. It was, yeah, just like really surprising and exciting. You know, as a brand who really resonates with the values that they are talking about, how, you know, fashion, if it's gender neutral, benefits everyone. Um, to see them wearing our products while they were advocating for things that we also believe in, was, yeah, really amazing. And um, it's, yeah, just again a big milestone for us as such a small brand. um, and yeah, we were very thrilled and happy. um, that's, yeah, it for me for now. I would love to like open up the discussion further on like any thoughts or questions you may have.
Yes, ma'am. Could you please elaborate more on the sourcing part from Gujarat? And also, you mentioned that all the metals, all the designs are handcrafted. So how do you all coordinate to pay attention to every designs that comes from there? So I want to know more about that.
Sure, good question. So everything is handcrafted, meaning that it's handmade. Nothing is, necessarily sourced. They're all our designs. So we have designed the designs ourselves. So because Stevie and I, like I was saying, don't necessarily have a background in fashion, but we had all these ideas. We worked with a freelance designer to create the technical designs that we would need, to then go to artisans and convert those designs to actual handmade pieces. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Was there anything more to the question?
No, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone have any thoughts? I'd love to
Yeah,
hear.
ma'am, I would like to ask one question. So, like normally in India, mang tikas are seen as a traditional wear, and not exactly Western. So, how are you trying to reposition the product in India? Like, what is your strategy for the same?
So one of the things we like have been trying to do from the very beginning is to show how it can be styled, like without wearing Indian clothes, how you can wear it with a pant or suit, how you can wear it with a dress, which is why like in a lot of the editorials we've done, we've consciously not chosen Indian clothing. Having said that, though, I'm gonna be very honest. It's been difficult to change that position, to reposition the Mangtika as something that you can wear outside of Indian settings and weddings.
Yeah, right.
It's such a deep rooted concept. But you know, I feel like we're just at the beginning of the journey. It's only been a year and a half, so there's a lot of time ahead of us to kind of continue um, planting that seed, because I think to change people's minds on something that has been so deep rooted is it's going to take a very long time to kind of just to see a product that you've never seen before from a completely different light. Um, Working with influencers and doing collaborations with influencers has helped that a little bit, because that allows us to also create content that shows that it can be worn, not just with a sari or at a wedding. um, Particularly when we work with influencers who like to say experiment with makeup, or are very bold with their fashion. You can sort of really see the coming together of the brand's products and the brand identity with the personalities of these influencers. So that's definitely helped. But yeah, that's definitely been a struggle, and I feel like it's just something that we need to keep working towards. It's a lot of work, like I was saying, to to make people see something differently when they've seen it one way their whole life.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for that question.
Hello, ma'am. Ma'am, definitely want to say the product designs are really beautiful, and I'd also like to know what are you planning to add? What other jewelry are you planning to add on your product portfolio?
Thank you. We will definitely be adding, more traditional Indian jewelry. Uh, that's our ethos, to constantly, reimagine traditional Indian jewelry. So we are hoping to, in the future, be able to add. I have forgotten the word for it, but the traditional piece of jewelry you wear, on your hand, that goes.
Heartful.
Yes.
Heartful.
And even like nuts, and things like that. So things that are very typically traditional, but then, completely reimagining it. So imagine a nut also with like a skull motif or a butterfly motif, and the same thing with the hatfuls. Um, yeah, I think for us as a brand, it's important to us to stay true to that root of tradition. So we will in the future, always kind of have that in mind. We will add products that we are able to uh, modernize from like these traditional jewelry silhouettes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rahul and I had a question. I see those jhumkas, the mang tikas look very beautiful and they give out a message. So I wanted to know, from where do you get the inspiration of the designs of your products from?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, so I think both Stephen and I, we grew up like living in different countries, and that's that's where the inspiration comes from, like from whatever experiences we've had, like growing up, the places we've lived in, the countries we've seen, like um, our open-mindedness, like that's where, yeah, the inspiration definitely comes from. I think both of us are also a little, quirky and experimental in our own fashion choices. So kind of like an amalgamation of our own personalities is where I'd say the design inspiration, comes from. Um, we both also really enjoy like learning new things and reading about things. So um, aside from what we've seen or what we know, when we come across something that might look interesting or is different, at trying to add elements of that into the design. Um, yeah, that's also something that I think it comes from.
Ma'am, I would like to know, what is the idea behind using 80% recycled brass? Is there any particular reason?
That's a very good question. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we are living currently in a world where like fashion is such a big contributor towards climate change. And it's important, I think, as a brand that started in 2020, started in the midst of the pandemic, to be conscious of that and to be able to keep our carbon footprint as low as possible. I think making our products from 80% recycled brass was just a no-brainer at that time. We were lucky enough to find artisans that were already working and able to work with recycled brass. So that was great. Um, Ideally, in an ideal world, we would like to work with, say, 100% recycled brass, because then that really makes it super sustainable. But that's not also like realistic for the product, because then it will make the product very brittle. We'll be able to break super easily, and that's not what we want. So yeah, I think 80% is actually already like quite a big number as well. So we are doing whatever we can to be as like sustainable as possible. So that's the reason we produce an 80% recycled brass. Alongside that, also like our packaging at the moment is 100% recyclable. But I know that's not good enough. Like, in order to be as sustainable as possible, ideally the packaging would be like 100% biodegradable. So that is also something that we would like to work on this year. Yeah, I think as a brand, it's like these values are of importance to us, and in the world we live in today, like I think it's important for startups to have these kind of values as well.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, one more last question. Like, what was the idea behind you choosing Gujarat? Because we know that we have one of the precise artisans there, but you would have had something in your mind, right, to choose Gujarat?
No, there's not necessarily any specific reason why we chose Gujarat. It's just that we found a very, good team of artisans there, who were very comfortable who typically work with precious like metals, so real silver, real gold, and diamond jewelry. So their skill set is extremely high, and they're very used to creating like really top notch jewelry. And obviously our jewelry is costume jewelry, but we want to have that like high quality premium feel to it, and we wanted it to be like high end costume jewelry. So that is why we're working with these artisans in Gujarat, is because they have the skills to create, to handcraft like really elegant, beautiful pieces of jewelry. And that's what we wanted.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ma'am, is there a chance that you've spoken to Alok, who was just like the video that we watched, and how did he get to know about your brand?
So like I was saying earlier, their pronouns are they. They don't use the word he. They go by they.
Okay, sorry.
And I have never spoken to them like personally about the brand. I've seen them perform because they're a poet and an artist as well. I will send you their Instagram. You can have a look and understand better. I have seen them perform poetry before, so I met them in that capacity. But like I was saying earlier, we gifted the pieces to Alok and Maitri, and by luck, chance, whatever you want to call it, they both loved it so much they kept wearing it again and again. And how we did that is we just reached out to their contact address, email, that we saw on their Instagram, and said that we are a brand based in Bombay, like founded by two diaspora Indians. We really like your work, and we thought you might like some of our pieces. Are there any pieces that interest you? We would love to send them to you. And their assistant replied like pretty soon after, and immediately gave us like listed a few products that Alok liked, and we sent it across. So yeah, I think something we've learned along the way being a startup is like just do whatever you can to get your product out there, but also like don't be afraid to try the most, like, I don't know, the things that might seem like out of the ordinary, like they're such a big renowned personality, that it might seem a bit like what's the point in trying, but we we've always just like reached out to people over Instagram DM as well, no matter how big they are. Sometimes like I remember once Steven also sent out a DM to Lily Singh, Superwoman. Yeah, obviously she replied, nobody replied, but like what I'm trying to say is that what we've learned along the way is that there's nothing you shouldn't try, just, and like the world we live in now, everything is so accessible, it's on our fingertips. Maybe Lily won't see the message because obviously I'm sure she gets like thousands and thousands of DMs, but maybe one day like her manager will see it and will want to use some products. So yeah, I just think that that's a very important part of being a startup as well, is just taking risks, trying a lot of different things.
Ma'am,
Ma'am, I have a question too. Aditi, do you want to go first?
That's all right. You continue. I'll go after.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask that I know that you mentioned that you're only doing e-commerce, right? Like the store is only e-commerce. So why don't you have a physical outlet, or why not a physical outlet?
That's a good question. So when we first started, obviously, like I said, it was 6 months into the pandemic. So it, just doesn't make sense to have a physical store if people can't go out to physically buy anything. I also think e-commerce is it's the way forward. I don't know if we will ever have a physical store, but we definitely will supply our products to stores. And we're in talks with some stores abroad for the same. However, I think right now that's not the priority or the need of the hour for us due to the pandemic. I think the pandemic has changed the way we shop, which I'm sure you've learned so much about in the last few months. So right now, like, our focus is on e-commerce because predominantly that's where people are shopping. And also, if you think about the demographics, like, of people that shop primarily online, people like you and me, we rarely buy things in physical stores anymore. And our TG is very much, a younger audience. I'd say between the ages 18 to 35, and those are the ages that these days that's the group of people that primarily shop online. So that's a big reason. But yeah, having said that, we do pop-ups. I think that's a really good way to kind of have a physical presence as an e-commerce brand, and we will continue to do that. I think that's also a very important way to interact with our TG, and also understand the market and the needs. And yeah, it would have been amazing to have this class in person and also show you guys the products in person, because it is a different feel altogether, like seeing the product in person. And like I was saying earlier also, that it's such a new product that sometimes people, if they see a picture, they're not able to imagine it or imagine themselves wearing it. I've noticed that a lot. So when they physically see the product, it changes how they perceive
the outlook. Yeah.
Somebody else had a question or something they wanted to say as well.
Yes, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. It's Aditi. Like you mentioned, Lily Singh, for example, she was born and brought up in Canada, and he has been living in the US and Canada for most of her life. In that case, do you feel marketing the jewelry to someone who isn't specifically from India, or maybe someone who isn't too familiar in the sense that they are not that used to wearing traditional Indian jewelry? Is it easier to market to that audience compared to someone who till now has conformed to the traditional way of wearing jewelry, or has the response been similar? Has the efforts been similar in that sense?
Again, very good question. Thank you. Yeah, actually, it's been quite different. I think the response from people who are Indian, who were born and raised abroad, specifically and especially places like the UK, US, Canada, has been different. I think because actually, like, a lot of people there, they kind of like to wear Mautikas even with non-Indian clothing. So then to have this product that is modern and contemporary and perhaps speaks to them more or differently, has been quite exciting, I think, for a lot of people. Like, we have seen the difference in the response. I mean, I think even Alok and Maitri really enjoying the products also kind of speaks to that testament, because they're both also diaspora Indians, like Maitri from Canada and Alok from the US. So it is definitely different. But because we're so new, our focus for the last 1.5 years, though we did do a little bit of marketing abroad, was honestly our local market here in India. We wanted to kind of build a strong presence here first, before really focusing our marketing activities in markets abroad. So though, that kind of happened naturally here and there with Maitri, with Alok, it's only this year that we are going to focus more on marketing the product abroad. Again, also because of the pandemic, we consciously chose not to. So yeah, I think I will know better and answer also to the answer to this question. Like the more we market our products abroad this year. But having said that, I can already see the difference, because like I was saying, like people there, and like I think I can also speak for myself because I was born and raised in like Indonesia and China. Like when I don't know, when you're not from, like when you're not from India, like you do whatever you can to like hold on to your culture or your Indianness, and I think people do that through jewelry, food, loads of different things, but jewelry is a big part of it. So yeah, I think there is definitely a difference.
Of course. Thank you.
Ma'am, so there was like this need in the market, and yours is like one of a kind. Your creations are like one of a kind, right? They're not already existing in the market. So I'm sure like there was quite a lot of support. But was there any rigidity or any barriers that like you thought you had to get through because of, I don't know, maybe mindset or something like that?
It's a good question. It's something I've been like reflecting a lot on since it's been a year and 3 months now, and particularly in December we did a pop-up, and there was this one incident that kept happening a lot, and so thus I was thinking about this. I think so. I'll get back to that incident in a minute, but I think one of the first barriers we quickly realized and noticed when we first started the brand, something I already touched on earlier, is this notion that the Mang Tika is a traditional piece of jewelry to be worn at a wedding or when you go to somebody's wedding. I think that's just so ingrained within us that that is kind of a barrier that we're constantly dealing with. But yeah, like I said, that's something that is an ongoing thing to kind of unpack and to kind of lead people in a way that makes them reimagine the Mang Tika. That's what we are trying to do, and it's going to take us time to do that. But what happened in December when I was at a pop-up event is that I noticed one of the barriers is actually elderly people. I mean this in the nicest way possible, but because there were like at least 6 to 7 young, like 18-year-old girls that came up to me. It was an event where there happened to be a lot of college students, so it was a different experience, and a lot of these young girls came up to me being like, we love the product, we would love to wear it, oh my god, I really want it, but my mom will never let me, or my mom would kill me if she sees me in this. Like I heard that sentence so many times that weekend, and it got me thinking, because I was like, clearly the product speaks to people, but there are some barriers in our own culture that is stopping the product from reaching its full potential, because there are people who would want to buy it and who would want to wear it, but then they think that their moms wouldn't let them. So yeah, I mean that's something I'm still like processing and navigating. How can we kind of move beyond that barrier? But yeah, that's one thing that came up recently.
Yeah, I mean, I was also thinking about saying like I really like the bird Mang Tika. I was like, I want that, and then I realized, okay, maybe my mom will never let. I mean, I had the same thought process. That's why I wanted to know, like, did you face it? So yeah, you did.
So, ma'am, I had a question. I saw the interview with Shweta Salve on your Instagram account, and there was a topic raised regarding sustainability and how the brands are now focusing more towards it. I know you mentioned that 70% of your jewelry is from recyclable metal and the rest is incorporated in it. I also remember you mentioning how packaging for e-commerce is the main cause for that adds to the environmental pollution and everything. So I just wanted to know if you, as a brand, have come up with any initiatives or ideas regarding the changing the packaging aspect, or going forward with that.
Thank you. Yeah, so yeah, 80% recycled brass. And like I said earlier, one of the things we're working on this year is so our packaging at the moment, like for the actual jewelry, is 100% recyclable. It's this box. And I don't have the contents of it inside right now, but it's inside. It's also butter paper and like elements of paper that are all recyclable completely. But our courier bag is not like biodegradable or sustainable. And that is what we spoke with Shweta about. And that's also another thing this year we want to kind of, change and work towards. At the time that we were launching the brand, we did look into it. However, at that time, the only option for biodegradable like packaging was like this company all the way in Australia, and it was really expensive and didn't financially make any sense to get those courier bags. But I think the pandemic has really accelerated a lot of notions of sustainability with everyone. And I have noticed that now there is a demand and thus an increase in like sustainable packaging solutions locally within India. So yeah, we are in talks with like people to figure out how, like, which kind of bag we want, because our box is quite bulky as well. So the courier bag we choose needs to not just be good for the environment and work for the environment, but also work for the product. Like we don't want the courier to reach the customer and the product to be damaged or anything like that. So yeah, it's something we're working towards, and hopefully by the end of this year we will be able to have 100% sustainable like courier bags and packaging.
Thank you so much for addressing that.
Ma'am, I have a question. Like the other brands, are y'all also planning to focus on the technology area to give a virtual feel on how the jewelry will look if I want to buy one?
That's a great question. We haven't kind of explored this further beyond the idea of creating what's the word, a filter on Instagram. That's the only kind of idea we had, because the Mangtikas are something that we can easily kind of convert into a filter on Instagram, and people can come on our page and use the filter and see what it might look like on themselves without actually buying the product. But I do think that this is an area that is also, again, just going to accelerate further over time. So we might need to think beyond that, like giving the consumer the ability to do that on our website instead, for example. I think that is something that perhaps we might not be able to achieve like this year or so soon, unless we get some VC funding, and that can accelerate things. But it's definitely something for the future.
Hi, I would like to ask one question. As I saw that your products were worn by Maitri Ramakrishnan, and you have also tried contacting Lily Singh. So is there any particular reason that you're trying to, approach them, or is there any particular reason that you are, choosing particular clientele for your products like them?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier about these products, resonating not just with people from India, but also Indians abroad. We notice that, a lot of Indians abroad who are celebrities, they like to wear like Indian jewelry with their non-Indian clothing. Like Alok wears jhumkas all the time. Maitri as well wears Indian jewelry pretty often. So does Lily. So yeah, that is why we contacted these people, because we can see that they like wearing Indian jewelry, and yeah, that's why.
Ma'am, just out of curiosity, what are your personal favorite pieces to style from the brand?
I really like the skull Mangtika. I have that here, and yeah, I really like the Nazar Jumka and the Peacock Jumka. Even the one I'm wearing, which is the Scorpion Jumka. So one of the other things, which I think I forgot to mention in our USP earlier, is that it was important to us that our products are lightweight as possible. So because jumkas typically are very heavy, right? Like I'm sure many of you must have worn them. Our traditional jumkas can be quite heavy, and I would remember like after 2-3 hours always wanting to take it off. So it was important for us that that's not the case for our jumkas. So a lot of our jumkas are extremely light. Like that's the important part of our product, making sure that it's comfortable to the wearer. Yeah, and this is the skull Mangtika.
That's really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, if there's anything else in the presentation, I'm just browsing through the slides in case you see something come up and you want to talk about it further.
Ma'am, the way you targeted celebrities from the US as of now, do you plan on doing the same even with Indian celebrities in the future?
Yeah, I mean, we have tried for sure. We already have, but I think it's not been the easiest like thing, compared to the response and the success with celebrities abroad. Again, I think because the product is so niche, and like I was saying earlier as well, like I think people who are more experimental and bold and quirky with their fashion would want to wear it more. Having said that, there are a few people who are still interested in some of the products, because we do have some simpler designs as well. But yeah, that's something I think, unfortunately or fortunately, I never know what the right word is for this situation, but we live in a country where celebrities are on a pedestal, and to get an endorsement from a celebrity would be a huge thing for a brand. So yeah, absolutely, that is something we would like to kind of achieve with an Indian celebrity, because though like Mandana Karimi and this Urfi Javed have worn our stuff, like I guess they're not like Kareena Kapoor or like Sonam Kapoor, like the typical like celebrity endorsement that a brand would require in a country like ours. So yeah,
makes sense.
Anyone has anything else to say or add, or yeah, if you want to, I mean, I know you saw the video, so if you have anything you think about on this topic of fashion being gender neutral, I would love to know your thoughts.
Ma'am, I have one question. I saw one post on Instagram where Jhansi Ki Rani is wearing, like you photoshopped the Jhansi Ki Rani's picture with a Mang Tika. Did you find any criticism or any harsh comments
Yeah.
by doing. Why you did you do that?
Yeah, we did have like one person, like I think, say something like we were disrespecting, these figures by doing that, these people of the past. So the reason we did it was, I mean, social media like is a place where, as a brand, you are able to articulate your brand values to people, not just through like product images, but also through other images, right? So whether that's quotes or whether that's creating content like this. um, so we chose Maharanis of the past, and Maharanis in our history that have the same values, that our brand stands for, like being bold, standing up for yourself, like, at the end of the day, the jewelry is an expression of all these things, and that is what people like Jhansi Ki Rani and other Maharanis have done. They are important figures in our history because of what they've achieved and done. Um, so to us, it's like, we're just honoring them, while articulating our values. Um, and if I may say so, it's quite a commonplace thing to do. Like, a lot of brands kind of superimpose their pieces of jewelry on like past images, um, to just create content. So that was our intention. I think it was mostly well received, except for this one person who was not happy that we did that. But I mean, like, no one's ever going to, completely, like I was saying, there's bound to be disagreements. No one's ever sometimes going to completely understand what you're doing or agree with what you're doing, and I think that's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. Our intentions were not negative or malicious, so we are okay that we did that, and we probably will continue to do that in the future as well. Yeah, thank you for the question. I think there's another question. I can see a raised hand.
Hi. So my question is, your jewelry caters to someone who, anchors themselves to the Indian ethnicity, right? And recently, if you see, there was a controversy about how Sarah Jessica Parker wore a lehenga and she referred it to as a sari. Someone wearing your jewelry outside the Indian ethnicity, would they receive any sort of backlash for cultural appropriation? Or like, how do they connect with our jewelry, like this jewelry?
Yeah, that's a very great question. I wanted to talk about that actually in my presentation, but I wasn't sure if I should, so I just left it out. Um, because it's a topic that, yeah, like, would typically come up abroad. But us personally, like Stephen and I, we don't mind people of other ethnicities wearing these products because, like I said earlier, when we also made them motif based, is because we wanted it to have this universal language, we wanted it to be worn by people who might attend festivals or raves. People who attend festivals or raves, they typically like to kind of wear bindis and put a lot of eye makeup, or like kind of do dotted things around their forehead and eyes. And this product allows you to kind of to do that very easily. So to us, it didn't really matter if non-Indian people wore it. We'd be more than happy if they did. Um, However, having said that, I think that there is a very thin line between like appropriation and appreciation, and I think uh, I think as long as the intent of the person wearing it, like the white person or non-Indian person wearing it, is just like they like the product, they want to enjoy the product, and they know the cultural significance of the product, then that's fine, but like if you're, I guess, say wearing a product and then mocking the cultural significance of this product that the product may carry, whether it's a piece of jewelry, whether it's a piece of clothing, then that's not great. So I personally think there's not a problem with people, you know, who aren't Indian wearing mang tikas. I think that that's the kind of world we should strive for, because I mean, not just because of Funky Maharani, but because, like, you know, we want to, ideally, we want to live in a world where there are less barriers between all of us, you know, when it comes to like gender, race, sexuality, everything. So by imposing these things, we're actually just creating more barriers. How are we supposed to reach this ideal of, you know, oneness, or being, you know, living more equally, if we just keep like getting upset about like things that really shouldn't matter. Sorry if that was a bit like harsh, but yeah, those are my thoughts on this topic.
Thank you so much.
There's another raised hand. What's your question?
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
You have a very interesting and different brand name. So how did you come up with that, and what was the story or idea behind that?
So like I said, the brand started from the question, why don't we see mang tikas more often? And the first thought Stephen had was, what if we had a skull as a mang tika? So I think it was natural from that thought to know that we wanted the word funky in there. And Stephen is like he's great with names, and like he has a menswear brand called Kurtis, which is KURTEES. So like tees as in t-shirt, because the product is an amalgamation of a t-shirt and a kurta. So kurta is made out of organic cotton t-shirt material. So initially, like, you know, he said to me like funky, like something with Rani, because like, you know, elegant, like jewelry, and like jewelry that's kind of like rich in culture and in design and all of that. So he was like Funky Rani, and I was like, no, Funky Maharani, and that's it. That's how we came up with the name. Like it was a literally like less than 5-minute conversation, and yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other final thoughts or questions?
Anyone have any more questions? Okay, in that case, thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this. And thank you so much, Hansika, for joining us today for this very insightful session. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all the questions and the discussions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.